Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Friday, May 8th. And so we had a little bit of selling yesterday, a little bit of a pullback. We are right back up again today. So we'll see if I thought for a second that we cut off the buying, but I guess we may not have. So right now, this market looks pretty darn strong in the overnight, at least. We are right back up again. So we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. Now, today we have news, plenty of news coming out. Oh, plenty, but big news. Employment situation at 8:30, and then consumer sentiment at 10. So employment situation is going to be a big number. Everyone's hanging on that number, waiting for it's going to come out. Now, it's such a convoluted number nowadays, though. So it's the fact that people are still paying that much attention to it is kind of bad because you get the number, have a big reaction, and then they revise the number. I guess they're going to hopefully get those revisions less crazy because it used to be like massive revisions every day. So yeah, great number, and then massive revisions the next report. So we'll see if they can start getting that number back in shape again. But that has been the plague of that number. That have been those have been the problems there. Now we are in the move out of the middle to the upside. We are looking for a spot to cut off the buying. Yesterday was not that spot. It could have been. It may still be if we can't extend today. So it all hinges on if we're extending today to the upside. Now looking at this 7,400, we're right up there now in the overnight. So if they can keep going, if they can extend to the upside, we'll be back in that stage one, keep extending to the upside. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. With news, employment situation coming out in about 20 minutes, then consumer sentiment at 10. And that could be a big deal, a big reaction. Now we do have a lot of the margins are up, obviously, if you didn't see the announcement. So your trading margins usually up a bit going into these numbers. So I would look to buy weakness. So right now we have a lower edge. We've tested and held. That would be the 73.50s. In the overnight, we gapped down a bit, but that retraced pretty quick. So I'm going to assume and lean against that 73.50 edge as my lower, at my first indication that something may be wrong. In other words, if they take out that 73.50, I think something is backing off way too much than it should. So initially, looking to sell weakness. Right now, range-bound bias is still to the upside. Yesterday's selling just established a lower edge to lean against. If they had taken out the lower areas at 35s and the 20s and extended past that, yeah, that would have been a lot bigger of a concern. But the fact that they didn't take it further, but I mean, it was pretty gnarly at the time. It felt pretty good. That was pretty good selling going on there for a second. But they didn't take it that far to the downside. So if you keep extending to the upside and then one little pullback, you are right back up again. So I would look to buy against 73.90s. This said is what this is 75 to 80s, 65s, 50s. Then we have the low around 35s and the 20s. If then these three areas comes out, bets are off. I would be a little bit more aggressive on shifting towards more of a short side. It's below the 73.50s now. Still looking to buy against the 35s and the 20s, but below the 50s, I think you may want to stay on the short side to see how far they want to run it at that point. Just be mindful that you don't sell into the 35s or the 20s. Yeah, that could be potential edges that could hold. On the way up, looking for shorts against the 7,400, 74.10s, or both with a bit of caution, since we are leaning towards the long side of the market. I think the best one probably is up here at the 74.10s if they can get up there. And then we'll see if they can extend well or not. I mean, we have news come out, a big deal. I mean, the employment situation could pop this pretty good, or it could reverse it right back down pretty hard. So it could go either which way. Given the numbers we usually see in there, I would probably expect it to be volatile, but not necessarily massively directional. And then we'll see where they go from there. So if they on the news extend to the upside, well, then we are back in stage one, extending, and see if they can hold on to that at that point. So given that if we get the volatile but not directional move, fall back on that analysis. If we get a big directional move up or down, then try to trade in that direction, at least to get started and see if there's going to be any follow through. So if it's volatile, non-directional analysis is 73, looking to buy against that 73.90s, the 75 to 80s, 65s, and the 50s for rotations up. Below 50s, start thinking shorts out of the market, see if they can retrace to the downside. I usually say go back range bound, but if that starts happening after news, I think there will be more downside to come. So I would go a little bit more aggressive on the short side. And on the way up, looking to sell against 7,400, 74.10s for rotations back down again. So that's how we get started. And then we start to see how the market reacts to the upcoming news here. NASDAQ. All right, NASDAQ also extend to the upside, still in the move out of the middle, but look at that thing go. We had a lot of downside before we had to worry about any retracement. So there's a lot of range on the NASDAQ which could be retraced here. Especially if you look at the, we all the way down here to that 27,900s, and we are up at the 28,900s. We have 1,000 points on this, 1,000 points. 27,900 up to 28,900. 1,000 points right in front of us. That's how big that crazy range is. And they are still looking like they're trying to take it higher. Haven't extended yet today though. So, and NASDAQ had a pretty good pullback. Did establish an edge to lean against. So we do have that. Did not try to, let me see here what I do here. I left it, I didn't adjust this lower edge down there. Let's see, F1 on the NASDAQ, where are you? So this guy here is going to lift this guy up a little bit. So there you have, so the edge is right now on the lower end. We've established, or we ran it down here and stalled pretty good at the 28,620s. We tested the 570s. We were all probing very quickly down in the 530 level. So these three areas are the ones to pay attention to now from a support area, a support perspective. And I would say if they come out, I would be more aggressive on the short side and see how far they want to run it on the downside. Because we got a lot of range on the downside. And you can see here that 530 level, that's going to be these three areas on the downside. That's now a nice three-level edge. So that comes out, we can retrace this pretty well. All probably from the 520 definitely down to that 230s pretty quick. So that could be a pretty good risk-off day if that happens. But right now, market still looks very much like it's trying to take this higher. So looking to buy weakness against the 820s and 740s, 690s, 690s, 620s, 570s, down to the 530s for rotations up. These three areas, as I said, the 630s, the 570s, back to the 530s, definitely look for buying opportunities here. But if all of them come out, switch over to the short side and see if they probably want to run it, because then we're done in retracing this stuff here right there, and that could be a pretty good move to the downside in there. On the way up, looking for shorts against the 890s and the 940s with a lot of caution. As I said, I'm not going to be very aggressive on looking for big moves to the downside on a NASDAQ. The moves can come when you already established, when you're on the way down like this, and you have a little bit of room heading down to a level of some sort. That's the kind of short you're looking for to take, or at nice retest failure trades. But don't expect big trades on the short side until you start really seeing some significant selling kicking in. So I would favor the long side. So on the pullbacks, look for buying opportunities for rotations back up again, and let's see how far they can take it. All right, so that's the ESN and NASDAQ to get started. Looking at the bonds, and they backed off pretty good. They retraced a little bit in the overnight, but so far not much directional move on the bonds in the overnight. So they haven't retraced a whole lot. Now, if they take out that 1316s and start retracing to the upside, I think we may have a little shot at trading back up again, but I would look for shorts against that 16th, the last one against the 24 for rotations back down again. But above 16 here, I think we have a shot at potentially retracing a little bit. So I would look for shorts against that 16 and maybe one up here at the 24 for rotations back down again. And look at the buy against that 1310s, 1305s, 1300s, with 13 even, the buck for rotations back up again. The trade below that 113, bets are off. We are heading lower at that point. So since we have news come out, there could be a big reaction. You never know. If there's a big reaction, look for if it's a new state type of a trade, look for the try to trade it in that direction, at least to get started, and then let's see how far they can take it from there. So that's kind of the dynamic. If it's volatile but not directional, pull back on the analysis, and then look at trading this as a range-bound market. I would favor the short side on the bonds, either way for rotations and back down again. So given that they had a nice move to the upside and then they backed off pretty good. So a little bit of move to the upside got us excited for a bit. Now they're right back down again. Kind of reverse retest in this area. So I would be a little bit watching it, put it that way. But if they take out that 113, I think we're heading right back down again. If they retrace past the 16s, we have a shot at trading back up. I would still look for shorts against that the 16s and the 24s for rotations back down again. All right, above the 24s, I think we have got enough momentum to head up and maybe even test the 114s. Still potential short opportunities against that 1330 and the 1404s. Pretty good opportunities there, but it's I would be just a little bit less aggressive to get that far up, yeah, given the sell-off we had yesterday. So that's the bonds to get started. Looking at our cryptos, I haven't done any crypto trading on this guy. In the overnight, it was not moving that as you know, kind of sloppy back and forth, as choppy. So I stayed away from it. The 25 bucks I'm up from yesterday's trading, and that's pretty much where we are. So nothing looks exciting on this stuff right now. That's just flopping around in a range, and I'm just going to watch it to see if we get some movement. I mean, overall, oil is not moving a whole lot either. It's just kind of stuck in the range around the 95 bucks, and that's so watching that one. So oil could be pretty good. Silver could move pretty well, but so far silver hasn't done much in the overnight at all. So, but those are interesting contracts. So silver, gold, oil on Coinbase. Trading futures on the cryptocurrencies themselves is interesting, but they tend to trade a little bit like the Nasdaq. Move a little bit in the same fashion. So if I had the best comparisons is like Bitcoin trades a bit like Nasdaq, and Ethereum trades a little bit more like the ES does. So back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and we got another 10 minutes or so, 10, 12 minutes before the news hits. So I'm to go get some coffee, get ready, and then let's go at this. So it's Friday. Just remember that. Don't do anything super crazy, and let's just see what kind of reaction we get on that employment situation. Alrighty, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.